Gus, I'm not even going to give you the chance today. Welcome back to the Gus Eddy podcast. If it looks kind of dark or weirdly lit, it's because the sun is coming through. Smoke over the West Coast. Today, we welcome Ted to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ted, I'm going to do the bad host thing. Why don't you just explain to the audience what you do, what it is that you do?
I make videos on the internet that are of comedic. I do very similar to what like Eddie does. I do like videos like goofing on stuff. I do sometimes I go around in a milkman costume and I interview people. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I cook. I cook various foods.
I'm beating myself up here. I planned earlier to say the milkman himself, Ted, is on the, and I didn't say it. So if we could just pretend, everyone close your eyes, including the audience, and just pretend I said that, and then go, And
That's really weird.
Good.
In my scripted out intro, which I also included a thoroughly researched interview for this whole podcast, I had actually included that line. So if I had the opportunity to start, we would have had a near flawless intro. Just want to get that on the record.
So my question is, did you write in me asking everyone to close their eyes?
I did, yeah. I wrote in you asking me this question too. Eddie, you want to take it from criticism number 5, page 2?
I don't.
Action!
I didn't print it.
I don't know why that was the most
out.
Midwest. Oh, action! Get in there!
You guys ever catch? Wait, because Ted, I don't want to guess it wrong. Wait, what state are you from?
I'm from Massachusetts.
That's what I was confusing in my head. I was going to say Maryland, and I was like, "That's not right. Don't say it."
Nah.
I'm
not from fucking Maryland.
Whoa!
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Okay. You lived out there your whole life, or what?
Yeah, right up until college, and then I went to school in New York.
Oh, yeah, and you just graduated recently, too, right?
Yeah, I did, literally
Yahoo.
in freaking May, kind of, I guess. Doesn't feel like I've really fully graduated, you know? Like doing an online graduation and shit like that.
Yeah, I forgot. We talked about it last time we saw you, which was that January? I don't have any.
I think
It must have been in January because we were out there for the lunch club shooting.
Also,
stuff.
can I just say, I don't like January and February of 2020 must have been 40 years because I keep hearing things that happened during those 2 months, and I'm like, that was this year? Like, so much.
Right?
How much was going on that, like, but either way, I remember thinking, because Ted, it was pretty much like you were in the very end of school, and we were having a discussion pretty much where Gus and I were in that same boat where we were ending school and YouTube was already working, and it is like we talked about it last week. It's the biggest demotivator for school you can ever have.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I could not agree with that, and especially when like one of my major was cinema and photography, so I also was supposed to be making a film the last 2 semesters. Like the first semester, I was in this class that was it was like writing for the short film. So I basically had planned it out where I was doing writing for the short film my fall semester, and then in the spring semester I was doing my thesis film. So I was writing my thesis film in the fall, and then I was acting upon it, in the spring. So I had the whole script and everything, but I also had to like kind of fight off doing YouTube at the same time. So once right before like Corona really started getting going, I like put out a tweet to my audience and I was like, hey, I need to finish this film because I need to finish college and it takes up so much time. So I have to like leave for a bit. But then I got to come back earlier, I guess, because Corona, I was in New York City and I had done casting and had people come in for auditions. And then that was spring break. And then the week, like, they were telling us maybe 5 or 6 days later, it was like, hey, we're going to extend spring break by a week. And then after that, it was like, you're not coming back. You're going online.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Did you, first of all, I'm so excited, and I don't want the whole thing to just be college shit, but like I've never had another YouTuber that also went to film school on the podcast before.
I've wanted to talk to you about this for a while too, so I'm glad that we can talk about it.
Also, it's like you went to, like, your equivalent of film school, it's like if like fucking Barry Bonds showed up to a Little League tournament compared to like my level of film school. My film school was like, you Gus, can hardly even call it
Gus,
that.
You and I pretty much went to film school if we're considering.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like a skit that you had done where it was like student directors It was like all
Yeah.
about
I
student
love that
directors
one.
and stuff. And
Yeah.
I watched that and I was like, this is really funny, but it also tells me so much about the type of like the environment that Gus was exposed to for like film students.
Yeah.
Like the type of people that was. And don't get me wrong, there was definitely people at my school that were like that. And I think that you don't, like, for any school that doesn't require like a portfolio or something like that to submit, there are gonna be people that are like that. But I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, it was a hugely different experience, and again, I want to like toe the line, and I don't want to be the guy that just like turns around and is like, fuck everybody from my graduating class and like there really were some mega high caliber individuals that came out of there, and like they're clearly like doing work in the field, but genuinely like in my senior show class, you know, like there's probably a significant percentage of the people that made it through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of the program that are turning in work that is just like, it's probably stuff that I would assume you'd see in your first year at a school like that. Like,
sure.
it just is so unfocused, and the students suffered from like huge like department changes and mix-ups and stuff, so it's like you can't fault the individuals, but it really did just seem like, oh my god, so many of these people are not prepared for the skills and shit. Like when you're getting to the point where you're doing like your senior thesis project and kids are checking out like a C200 or something, which is really not like a nutso camera, and they can't even adjust the ISO on it, and they've been in school for 6 years. It's like, I am so sorry, you're fucked.
One thing I'd
like,
say too
work in this field
is like, especially with, I think, Gus, my guess is the most valuable thing you probably got out of it is having to do so many projects. I think created a we can just go and shoot it work ethic in your brain, you know, that is like the reason you've made as many sketches. I feel like along with just what inherent stuff. But for me, it's like whenever I think about like actually making the effort of shooting something, my brain just goes, fuck, you know what I mean? I love like just setting up a tripod and talking, but when it comes to like, we're shooting scenes, there's continuity. Can I jump out the window and we keep the window broken?
I think I also, one of the things that I think helped my experience in film school too was that like I had an opportunity to do stuff that like not even like most of the people who were going to the school for film were, which was one of the guys that was this guy Aaron. He was an RA for one of the floors in my freshman dorm, and he got me and a couple of my friends into working at a place called PPAX, because it's like the portable equipment checkout kind of thing. It was like the equipment center. And what that allowed me to do was, it was like I was always working with equipment, and then it was also equipment that I wasn't learning in like classes and stuff, and it kind of instilled that ability to always be, you know how to like handle pretty much any of the cameras that I had to run into.
Doing it without a class is kind of sets you up for the future of like new equipment you can kind of figure out, you know?
Yeah. And then when I was in, they do a LA semester. So that's when I originally kind of was out here in like fall of 2018. And that's when I figured out that, first of all, that I wanted to move to LA. But second of all, I interned at a camera rental house where they were working with like RED cameras and RE cameras and stuff like that. So like I learned the sort of cinema level shit too. So that was, I think, very helpful for me. And I wasn't so worried about doing the YouTube stuff and like forgetting all of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so envious of that, especially when you talk about being at like the tech desk like that. Like, I mean, I had a friend of mine, Curtis, actually worked at the tech desk. Eddie, my buddy Curtis.
Which also,
for
please,
a little while.
just take a moment to shout out Curtis's new YouTube video. It's so fucking.
Oh
good.
my god, fucking okay, Tony. Link in the description, please. Everybody, go subscribe to Curtis Robert. Watch his what is it? Top 5 Jimmies on television.
Yeah, I think top five Jimmies on television is the video. Yeah.
All right, that'll be in the description.
It's so
Thanks, boys,
like the editing feels like not like all the way professional, but like he's taking it seriously. It's just so good. I love Curtis.
I love that.
But yeah, you were saying Curtis worked at the rental place.
Yeah, well, Curtis worked in like the computer center and the print lab and stuff too. But having friends that even had access to like the being in the print lab or at the tech desk or the editing bay and shit. I was just so jealous. Like they got to work with this stuff and understand like all the tech and stuff like that. But, so that's where I would say, personally speaking, that's my biggest, I guess, handicap.
I think you and I shut off with tech stuff in our brain, where it's like, but if we could just do the creative bit, like,
I know just enough in every area to be able to maybe in a passing conversation fudge it and say enough keywords to get by.
Yeah, you got to get the white balance right for sure.
Yeah. And it's like, and I know like camera function and shit, but if you ask me like, hey, what kind of stuff do you like on Nikons as opposed to like Sony ones? And I'd be like, I've never even used a Nikon to shoot on,
the lens and
the lens.
It's almost like not as much of an issue though for people like you, Gus, where I feel like you're much more geared towards being like a director though. So it's like, I could be wrong about that. Is that something like you would be interested in, is like doing directing stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because in the film industry, it's like once you get into the professional level, everything just sort of,
gets figured out for you.
You funnel into a certain zone. So it's like if you're a lot of people who are just mainly directors, they probably do like writing and then directing, but it's not as frequent that like you're a director of photography and a director. I mean, it is something that happens, but like they're just such different paths. And when you're on a set and you're a director, the director of photography is just taking care of all that stuff for you. They have a whole crew. They've got a first and second AC and stuff like that. So it's like, it's not as much of a problem when it's like you're able to direct something, because it's like you have a producer who's bringing on people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I would really love to try my hand at more directing in a situation too where I'm directing like and working with a cast of people that aren't necessarily like close friends of mine too, because the last time that I was able to do it at even like a small to medium scale was when I had like a Kickstarter project that Eddie was part of, a few years back. We did just like 4 episodes of a short form comedy series, and like even that was like really enjoyable, but I learned so many lessons that way. And now I guess, like if I have people in a sketch and stuff, like it is and it isn't directing, if you're like kind of moving them around and stuff. So I look forward to hopefully getting to do some bigger projects like that. But I mean, for a guy like yourself, I mean, you're hot off of film school. You already have what's very difficult for a lot of people to establish, which is like a following online at a really young age. Like,
I feel really, really lucky for that, because because I still sort of people still put comments on my videos and stuff and ask me when my short film was coming out, and I don't think that I thought I had talked about this at some point, but I was like, hey, this is like on hold indefinitely. But I think that once this corona shit is over, because right now in the film industry it's like 40% more expensive to make anything,
right?
But I want to just use the new resources I have to just make what would have been my thesis film, just so I have that, because I haven't really made a film since my sophomore year in college, because I would like helped out with a lot of stuff, but I haven't actually made like a film since my sophomore year, which is a bummer. But I'm excited to. It's going to be weird, because it's like the longer you spend not doing that, the more you kind of have to get your feet warm again when you get back into it.
That's one of the things that I feel like this year, especially, not to delve right into more Corona stuff too, but I wanted to kind of like exercise those muscles a little bit more, because I just don't want them to atrophy. Of like, hey, I took a whole year off of like running a set, or like going up and doing stand up and stuff like that, where I'm just like, fuck, I want to keep like utilizing these skills now, because I'm nowhere near done learning, like, so I don't know. But what do you think, like, trajectory now? You're in Los Angeles right now, or
I kind of want to just keep doing YouTube and kind of see where that goes. I look to Noel Miller a lot for sort of inspiration on
short film out.
On sort of how he's operating, because I find it very, very, I think it's really, really cool what he's doing, and because he's found a really, really great way to mix what he wants to do is directing, but then also doing content online. Right. And I think that like if I were to point to anything that would be sort of where I'm kind of thinking in my brain, it would probably be Noel Miller, what he's kind of doing right now. But yeah, I want to just kind of keep doing the YouTube stuff. I'm also, this is like a sort of back of the brain thing, but that I wouldn't ever really act on like publicly for a while. But I really want to try my hand at like going far out of town and going to like small open mics and trying to do stand up.
Jakey and I were really talking about it. We were gonna do it when I went to Denver with him on New Year's Eve, but we just ended up not doing it. But we were moving into, I didn't feel comfortable doing like any, because like Gus had done open mics in college, so like Gus, you had already had some kind of like stand up, at least trying it. So when you started your show, and I was like, I would feel like a fraud if I just like asked people to sell tickets and then practice there. So that's actually like what Jakey and I were planning on doing, and then
you guys would both be really freaking awesome at stand-up.
I've actually always wanted to do stand-up. I mean, at least from the time that I was like
it's just hard
10,
to like
probably. Yeah,
it's so scary to like even almost sometimes even think about it because of the fact that of going because with YouTube it's like you don't necessarily expect that everything you say people are going to find funny, right? Yeah. But with stand-up, it's like everyone's sitting in waiting for you to say something that will make them guffaw, right. And like that's a really scary thing.
That's
which
what's
is why
so
I would
rewarding about a stand-up laugh, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're like, I
it's
just
like,
pulled this out
funny.
of my ass and it worked.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, I like to think that I'm funny to a certain extent, but it's like a whole nother process of like writing jokes that work for stand-up. But I do think that since I did theater in high school and like I have general like comfort on stage in general. So I feel like with that and like being able to like read an audience, I already have like sort of experience with that and doing comedic roles and stuff like that. So I feel like I could use that sort of stage presence and kind of put it into that.
In the same way, like I did improv in high school, and I felt like I ended up getting pretty comfortable with that. So it's not like there's no stage experience. Then also with like, you know, Gus, us doing like some crowd work at the end of your shows that I would show up for. It's like that is already, I think what is frustrating about like some of the pandemic stuff is I already got the bug for doing it. And then it's like, but you can't. And it's like, that's not a nearly close to the tragedies of what's happening right now. Yeah. So I'm not, but it's like, that is one thing that I'm excited to do once this is all over.
I'm curious, Gus, what are your thoughts on like your experience with like stand-up and stuff? Because you've been a little quiet since we've been talking about.
Well, what are you fucking just scared? You shaking in your boots?
No, sir. I'm confident.
Guy.
No, I didn't want to cut off all your film school stuff. I'm just actually.
Don't worry.
I'm interested as fuck.
I'm okay with running all over the place here.
Hell yeah. Well, here's my biggest thing right now, and when I'm thinking about stand-up stuff right now, I'm excited in a sense because already when I came off the tour, like at the end of last year, like I had a lot of like big momentum going into this year in that area, and that was going to become like in my eyes like a staple of what I was doing in the next few years, if not for the rest of my life. It was like so clear. It's like this is going to be a huge part of what I'm doing. And in a perfect world, the pacing of going into this year would have been like we were in negotiations at the start of this last year, you know, January, February, March-ish, to try to find a couple of like test shows in LA, and then we were gonna hire a film crew and come in and like do some more professional tapings.
Somebody was telling me about that. I forget who, but I remember somebody was telling me about you wanted to do like a live show of some sort.
Yeah, and you know, that was after I had 30, 40-ish shows on the road or so, and I was able to like.
Did you do 40 shows?
40 shows?
I think I did over 30. I don't know what the exact number was.
Absolutely know.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
You're a veteran.
Yeah, it's so because we added some extra ones too, but
you spread them out, right? 40 would be like. I mean, you did 40, a lot of them packed together too when you spread out the tour. So yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, and we did a couple double day ones too. So if anything, you could technically count that as a 1 day thing.
Yeah,
like
true.
Doubled in Boston and stuff, but like I was hoping, you know, because I got a chance to kind of. Not do a full critical preview of it in a sense, but you know, like when I did like Caroline's and Broadway and stuff like that, you know, I had some people in the audience and stuff that I was hoping to pitch to, and some kind of Comedy Central folks and stuff, and I can't go into details, but there was some interest in a couple areas of at least like, hey, let's see this. Like we had some people, you know, some butts and seats that thought it was pretty good, and So I was hoping maybe somebody would pick it up in the middle part of this year, and then it would premiere mid to late this year, and then by like August or September, I would have loved to be on the road again, and then wrapping another tour like right before, just after Christmas or so.
Yeah.
To like kind of coincide with if it got picked up by any, and even if not, like, I mean, I just would have self-published it on YouTube or something anyway.
Yeah.
But like I've got so much more material now, and that's been an exciting thing. Is it's like, well, when I get to go back out there, I really feel confident. Obviously, without workshopping any of this, so there could be big chunks where it's just like I need to scrap or change. But like I feel really confident that like I've got enough pieces and how they all interlink, and some stuff that I didn't end up using in the first hour of like, hey, I think I have like another 30 to 45 minutes that I want to at least go out there and play around with and see what's going to shape out to be. But I was telling Eddie this too, you know, I'm so pissed because I had so much fucking momentum going. Like, I went out of my way this first time where I was like, I know I am just this internet kid, you know, and a lot of the times when I'm going to, like,
just
I'm going
a
to the
boy
clubs,
from Wisconsin.
I'm a boy from Wisconsin, you know. A lot of the times, like, I was going to the clubs that I wanted to go into that were, like, not just, you know, theaters or, like, anything that you can book, but, like, I wanted to, like, getting into Caroline's was a huge fucking goal of mine, you know, and, like, getting into some of these, like, staple ones, Skyline, stuff like that. And then I was going on like off nights, like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, where the clubs weren't even open. I'm just stroking my own dick at this point. I apologize, but I was going when like
I'm literally very interested in what you're talking about.
I appreciate that.
I'm not, but Ted is interested, so go ahead.
Okay, you better listen. I'll know if you don't.
Not listening.
Shit. So, but I was going into like these clubs on, you know, Tuesdays and Wednesdays because I booked the whole tour so late that they had to literally like open clubs on nights where they weren't open. And like I was selling out those nights and I had everyone up at the club, and I'm so fucking proud of this. At so many clubs, so many people were coming up to me, the staff and stuff, saying like, I've never seen a crowd this big on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. I've never seen people more respectful. Like, that's the thing I'm so proud of, is people were coming out, and most of the compliments I got from staff was, oh my God, like the people here are so nice and respectful, and I see people like sharing tables and like making friendships and stuff, and it's like that's
rather than going to just a stand-up show, especially if it's people that listen to the podcast, it's like we all have this common thing, you know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
So,
and I was like, that's the impression I wanted to leave. And now it's like, not only do I have to take this year off, but whenever it becomes realistic to do this shit again,
when things start opening, it's like that's also a thing you got to rely on. Is like when it's up to venues really.
Also, I'm sure though the competition for slots at venues
that
when
is
everything
it
reopens.
Yeah,
everybody's going to immediately want to go on
so
tour.
Is it
that's going to be.
Deservedly so. It should go, like, these slots should go to like the guaranteed moneymaker guys, but most importantly, I think of the road comics that have been doing this for 5, 10, 50,
and I think it will
decades.
go to them, you know, because they just like they know the people in that circuit. You know? Like,
and it's also, like they need this the most, they deserve it, but also it sucks because I'm just gonna have to wait so much longer to be able to have like any sort of comprehensive tour after this.
Right.
So fuck.
It's the same thing with It's funny. I'm bringing it somewhat a little bit for a moment back to the film thing, but it's a very similar thing for the film industry, where when it comes to like, I was talking to there's this guy who was in Moonlight, Jarrell Jerome, and I just happened to like know him through a friend, and we were talking recently about like the film industry and stuff, and he was talking about actors, how it's like there's just going to be so much competition for parts going back into it. But on top of that, it's like also there's so many productions that need to catch up, like productions that have already casted that we're going to shoot.
Right.
And like that's all it's going to be. Like, I don't even know how it's going to balance out. It's going to be like a shit ton of work or like a lot of competition, but I'm not really sure which one it's going to be, you know?
Yeah, I just wonder what LA's going to do with their actor shortage when everything's back.
Yeah. Oh, because so many people have to move out.
No, I just meant because there's a ton of people here acting. That's I think we got enough.
So, here, just one more question about the comedy stuff, Gus. I'm very curious, like in terms of, like I've like sat down with myself before, and I've been like, oh, I'm gonna write something comedy based. But usually, the only time I ever think of something is just like off the cuff. I'm just like, oh, this is a funny thing I could talk about if I was in a comedy like stand-up setting. But like when you talk about you've written like 45 minutes of stuff, that like is overwhelming to me. Like I can't even think of being able to do that. Like how did you get into like the zone where you could like write stuff where it's like, oh, this is something for stand-up? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Well, first of all, your first tour was written in a real unconventional way, you know, kind of compared to like what a traditional stand-up would be. It was more working on it on the road, right? Than like you would have to work on it like just going around clubs around here or something.
That was exactly it. It was like I had too much material prepared, and that's not a good thing when I started the tour, because I had a lot of weaker material. Because when I do have a scant amount of stand-up experience pre-tour shit, but it really is almost exclusively like a few open mics like in the Midwest, you know, pretty safe stuff. A lot of them at the college and shit, you know, like very safe environment. So I approached it initially from kind of like a storytelling perspective, where it's easier in my head to come up with like less observational shit at first, but like root something in a story, and then when the story is like the meat of like a chunk, you know, like thinking, you know, like here's a 5-minute chunk of this, then you find the little observational like little hairs, little feelers coming off of there. So then it's like, well, okay, well, I'm get to the point, and especially like Eddie said, you know, when I started the tour, the act was so much different from by the time I got to the end of it. Like I started just telling these stories, and then I'd start to see like, oh, I guess people really like this detail about it, and then, well, maybe I expound on that a little bit, and then oh, well, maybe I ditch this area entirely, and oh, I didn't think people would laugh.
I feel
at
like
that
must be the
thing.
Most fun part.
Yeah, it's so weird. That? It's so weird, especially when like I got to the point once I got to be about like 20 or 25 shows in, like kind of halfway-ish, I was just like. It was so weird to me to see what shit people laughed at that I never thought was even funny. Like, I thought it was just, like, an integral part of the story. Like, well, I have to mention that. And then people would laugh at that. And it's like, that I still don't think this is funny. And people laugh at that part every night. All right, so I'll go fuck around with that a little bit and see what that happens. But I don't know. I think right now the biggest thing is, like, I have these isolated ideas. Like, sometimes it might just be, like, a thought or... you know, a couple like, hey, why is it this way? So I will write down... An
inkling?
Yeah, an inkling. I'm in a coffee shop. I put it on a napkin. No, but I'll write these little bits down, and then I have this whole, like, drafts list thing drawn up of kind of, like, the next hour or two, and it really just, a lot of them is just smatterings of stuff. And then as I look at that list so frequently, and I look at the ideas I'm coming up with, I start to think, like, oh, well, this oneer could totally be built into like this 5 minutes. Like that's very similar. So this could all be part of a thought. And then I'm trying to like link the transitions together and like, so now it's like, it really just is coming
like
up
a dance.
Like I'm just coming up with like little dumb shit and then trying to link it together as I continue to look at it, you know, week after week and be like, oh, okay, well I thought about that idea more. I don't know.
That's super cool.
But again, I'm a guy that's been on one tour, so you're not getting like worry. The industry answer.
Sure, but I'm like, if anything, it's the most realistic answer that I'm gonna like the closest to my experience that I'm gonna get, which is why I find it very valuable.
Sure. Yeah. I'm curious, Ted, when you talked about like theater kind of stuff, like what kind of stuff were you doing in high school? Like were you a musical guy or drama?
I did musicals. I did musicals. I did some plays. I played in my sophomore year in high school. I played Willard in Footloose.
Oh, cool, dude.
Is Willard like, the guy that says all the suspect shit in the first song?
He's the one who can't dance, and he's like a himbo. You know?
Yeah. No, he's the guy that dresses up like the big dog with the Australian accent. That's him the whole time.
And sells weed.
That was terrible. Yeah. All right, anyway.
Yeah, but I did. There was the first freshman year was Legally Blonde, and then it was.
That's the one where she's legally blonde, right?
Yeah. She's blonde and it's legal. They allow it.
That's so fucking dumb. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then the junior year was kind of like a weird year because there was like a new director there, and it was like this show called Sweet Charity, and I don't know. Who cares about that? And then senior year was Into the Woods, and I played the Rapunzel's prince.
You played James Corden? Dude. Also, well, on that topic, because
I was James Corden in Cats. For my,
you were James Corden
I was a super
in
senior.
Cats, portraying his role in Into the Woods.
I played his performance, my interpretation of James Corden's performance in Cats.
What the fuck is his character's name? I've mentioned on the podcast before, the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Hold on, James Corden Cats character. His Cats character name is... Wait, where the fuck is it? Hold on. I gotta pull it up.
Fluffer shit.
Dude, it's extra dumb. So picture James Corden as a cat in his little top hat, right?
Okay.
His dumb little fucking cat top hat.
Dude, how low is he on the top billed cast? What the fuck is this?
Cats. Sorry, just mispronounced.
His top billed cats. Full cast? Dude, what's going on? Also, all the name. Wait, there's a fucking cat called Socrates in it?
Oh my god.
It was the musical was originally made out of a series of poems. I have always hated Cats,
dude.
The musical.
I found it.
I don't think there's many.
Terrible.
I feel like people like that musical because they feel like they have to. I don't think that anyone genuinely likes Cats.
Maybe people do.
And that's a hot take.
But my favorite character is James Corden portraying Bustopher Jones.
Bustopher
Wait,
Jones.
I didn't hear that. You Discord cut you out for a second.
Bustopher Jones is his
Bustopher Jones?
It sounds like
horrible.
if a cat had to like make up a name to a cat cop.
Oh, I'm a people.
Jones, Bustopher Jones.
Yeah, that's like somebody stole a cat and then a police officer stopped them and they said, "Is that your cat?" "Yeah." "Well, what's the name of the cat?" Bustopher.
It's Guybert, you know?
Dude, one thing I gotta say is because you boys did musical stuff, so I'm assuming you both are singing
Gus,
boys.
are you a fellow musical man?
I can't explain, and I think some people who listen to the podcast will relate with me. If you're somebody who just has decided, I know it's like I'm not awful at singing, but I'm nowhere near production good at singing. And people in my life keep asking me to sing for different situations, whether it's for a project or for karaoke. And I just say, hey, it's not physically, it's not fun for me. And nobody understands. People will always be like, oh, just come to karaoke and you won't have to sing. And then once you're there, everyone's like,
say it's
come on.
Physically painful.
What's up?
It's true.
You could always you said it's physically not fun. You could always just up the ante on that and just say it's physically painful for me.
Once people are moving for karaoke, they demand that everybody be singing, and they think that I wouldn't be having fun unless I join in and sing. But I have to tell you, I don't want to do that. And I went on to and Ethan was very great about it. Ethan, our friend Ethan Nestor, was having a charity. God, this was this fucking year for the fires in Australia. He was having a charity live stream.
What was that, in January? Right?
Yeah, and Ethan said you can come by and you don't have to sing, and I was like, that's fine. And Ethan was very cool about it. But fucking chat just started tweeting images of me sitting there enjoying myself, but I looked sad because of my mustache. And it's like, then I fucking sing, and people like to make sure everyone isn't mad at me and thinks I hate the koalas even though they have chlamydia. And then everyone's like making fun of how I'm singing in the chat. And it's like, listen, guys, do you want me to fucking sing or do you want me to leave? It's one of the two.
Make a choice sometimes. They need to make a choice.
I just don't want to do it. That's all. And so how did you find that you enjoyed singing?
Oh, that's a good one. I want to hear yours, Ted.
Well, I don't know. I've been doing it for a really long time. I did my first theater. I think I was like 8 or 9 or something.
So that's before you were gifted with the adult man voice that you currently have.
Exactly. I was in Tom Sawyer and in like a community theater thing, and I did that for a while, and then I did it in junior high. I was in Music Man in junior high in a barbershop quartet, but I was the low voice in that barbershop quartet, so I still had a pretty low voice in junior high. And then I did what's it called, Guys and Dolls in 8th grade.
Oh yeah. I did. I performed Nothing Like a Dame for my solo ensemble act from Guys and Dolls.
Oh really?
Yeah. Other than that, I didn't do the show though.
You know what's the perfect musical role for me?
Yeah, what's that?
The UPS guy in Legally Blonde. Doesn't have to sing.
Yeah.
Just gets to be there in shorts, and that's all you have to do. That's the perfect role for me. It's just do jokes and don't sing. That's for me.
Also, that's the definition of a himbo role right there.
I would love, dude. I listen. The second the pandemic's over, I know agents, managers are gonna be breaking down my door looking for me to fill up some himbo roles.
Eddie, you would do a really good job doing that. Doing the fucking UPS guy.
The thing is, I almost was in high school, but I had a sports commitment and I didn't do it.
Oh man!
And the thing is, the guy that did
classic High School Musical moment right there.
The guy that did it was way better at it. He was like, he was in such good shape that it was like he was actually like a hot dude as it, and it was like, yeah, he should have gotten this role. That it works.
Were they just recruiting from like people, just anyone, because it was such a small role?
The teacher that did our musicals was like very good at it. Like the school like won awards for the state, and he was one of my favorite teachers, and he knew I did YouTube videos, and so he was like, "This might be a good role for you if you want to do it."
Like he knew that you had like some sort of presence that you could like.
He knew me, and so I was like, it wasn't even like at the time we didn't even have. I think we had maybe like 500 YouTube subscribers. He just saw that I liked to do comedy. And was like, maybe this. For me, it's like by that. Only in like the beginning of my senior year did we get any bit of small following. It was like 3,000 subs on YouTube, and it was like, holy shit, what happened?
I didn't ever get more than like 3,000 until maybe past freshman year in college.
Dude, I'm glad. I didn't have a following in high school. That would have really like changed my brain chemistry.
I kept it secret. I kept it a secret. I didn't want people to know that because it's like. I think that's probably just a high school thing too, because it's like anything really in high school, it's like you can be embarrassed about, So you don't want anything to be out there that people could make fun of you. Sometimes I even sometimes think back and wonder what the people I used to go to high school think about my YouTube thing, and like I'm sure that they're pretty positive about it, but I still in the back of my brain I'm like, maybe they're making fun of me, Do you ever have that? That's probably unrelatable, but
no, I'm sure I think about that sometimes too, where I'm like, I'm sure there's people I went to high school with that are like, his videos are fucking trash, you know what I mean? But the thing is,
exactly that exact thing where
people
it's like these stupid
were
videos online.
Super supportive in my high school, kind of because before I would make sketches with my friend Zach, and that's why I kept kind of at it. Is Zach and I would post our sketches to Facebook, and we had a couple of like friends that would be like, keep making those, they're really funny, like I really enjoyed it. And so like I would hear about it the next day when we came to school, like, oh, I really like that one. Not anything like crazy, but that little bit of support, I was like, ooh, maybe there's something here.
Oh yeah, seriously, anything really is enough, just like to be seen in that way. I didn't do. I started out like doing creating stuff. Like the first thing I started out was I used to think I wanted to be a graphic designer, and then I got into like animation with like Pivot and stuff. I feel like I may have talked about this before, but like the Pivot animation program, I used to do that.
Oh, I forgot about Pivot. Was where you could do the like stick figure shit.
Yeah,
right?
It was like,
dude, I forgot about Pivot.
They already had like the kinetics and the figures.
Dude, I
built
did that
in.
too. I was like, there was a time I think for all of us when we were younger where you're like, if I could get into any avenue that could have people watch my video, I will learn how to do it. Like, I'm sure we all had a time where we downloaded the like lightsaber effects program to try and do that shit, or maybe that was just me. But
I would try to do magic wand
You're interested
spells.
in Freddie Wong.
Yeah,
dude,
well,
fucking
the thing is,
Freddie Wong shit. Yeah.
By that point, by the time Freddie was blowing up,
YouTube.
my friend Zach was getting into that stuff. So I could think of. I would write our comedy sketches and get to write in like one special effect that Zach would do. It was really fun.
Ted, just a funny thing. Well, first of all, two quick things. I have to say, because I know the theater kids are squirming. I misspoke earlier. Nothing Like a Dames from South Pacific. I did that one, but I did Luck Be a Lady from Guys and Dolls. Sorry,
I did
theater
that.
Kids.
I played that character who sang that song, and when I was in 8th grade.
I want to hear you sing that song now, Ted.
So remember what you said about singing, Eddie? On command.
No, I don't mean now on the podcast. I just mean now as in you as an adult. Please don't sing on the podcast like that. Sorry, my bad. I didn't want to put you on the spot. But no, I want to hear current Ted sing that.
Musical podcast?
And the two, and it's just like, go ahead, Ted. It's silent.
Yeah. All of a sudden, like something like you have a prepared soundtrack, and it starts you start playing it through your microphone.
That's way more advanced than this podcast is ready for.
Yeah.
What did you just say, Ted? I totally forgot. I just wanted to clarify because I was like, I'm gonna get roasted by these theater kids in the comments if I do that.
Oh, what was I? I was saying something. I was going.
Oh shit!
Animation shit. Kids from high school.
Pivot. Spells Freddie Wong.
Freddie Wong.
Freddie Wong was what got me into doing YouTube videos in the first place. Like back in 7th grade, I think. Actually doing like YouTube, like being interested in like, oh, that's something that people can do. That was like when it sort of clicked, was around 7th grade when that happened.
For me, actually, I want to go around then because Gus, I don't know if we talked about that early of stuff, but Ted still more. So what were like? So was it just Freddie W. and Brandon, or was it I think other
it
channels?
Was well because that was Freddie W. was like a double effect for me. It was what got me into film, and it was what got me into editing and special effects. And it's what got me into YouTube, really. And that, like, if he came up to me and said, hey, give me a thanks, I'd give him a thanks because, he did help inspire a lot of things that happened.
He goes, Ted, give me a thanks. Give me a thanks.
Give me what I deserve. Thank you, Freddie Wong.
Tell me I'm good.
Yeah, that's fucking right. So... over the years, I learned like After Effects and all that shit. I mean, obviously, I worked with Sony Vegas for a long time because you could never figure out how to get a proper key generator. And
same here.
Stealing on the internet.
Yeah.
But
Sony Vegas 11, baby.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Specifically Sony Vegas.
Specifically 11. Why did so many people have the 11 key? My grandpa had a PC with it on it, and I used that for like 4 years.
That's what Zach used too, but I learned how to edit on I bought to make Halo machinimas with Tony. I bought a Dazzle capture card, and it came with its own Dazzle editing software, and that's where I learned like how to cut things on a timeline. Did it have a watermark on it? I don't think so. Maybe it did.
Sometimes those things come with watermarks that you don't know how to get rid of, but there is a very clear way when you get older, and you're like, oh, could have just X'd it out.
Yeah. For me, early YouTube stuff, it's weird because I was really early to making videos. Like I had a YouTube channel with my friends when we were in 4th grade.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and thank God it's gone. It's obliterated.
What year was that? That must have been. Okay.
Fuck. When was I in 4th? So I was 10 in 4th grade.
It could not have been earlier than 2006.
It was 2006. Yeah, because I would be 10.
So YouTube had just. Yeah. YouTube was new.
Yeah, YouTube was real new, and so I was literally like grinding new channels all the time, and we would make these terrible sketches that we deleted when we were in 6th grade because we were like, maybe this is already too cringy, and we've aged 2 years.
That would have been funny if I found that stuff when I was doing my research for you for the Lunch Club podcast.
Wait, for real?
Enjoyed that. No, it would have been funny if I did.
Oh, sorry. I thought it cut out for a second. And I was like, wait, did you find that? Because then it's like before this podcast goes up, I have some deleting to do. There was this channel called the Decimal Brothers. And they were just these two brothers, I think, in Ohio. They and like Smosh and a couple other channels just kind of made these very like, we're clearly fucking around with our friends while we make this sketch. There's barely any like kind of script to it or anything.
Sure.
And some of them were really funny to me at the time, and I haven't gone back and watched them. But yeah, that was like that got us picking up the kind of camera to do it, and it's like I think about that now. I'm like, yeah, no wonder YouTube kind of worked for me. I've literally been trying since I was 10, so that's like a 13-year path to like attempting to get it to work.
The earliest video that I have on YouTube is on my dad's YouTube account, which is a pivot video of a guy chasing after a burger. Because really prior to that, I didn't really know how to make a YouTube account. Like I remember when I was first told about YouTube in elementary school, this is like a legit thing. I remember specifically looking it up and looking up YouTube with a U instead of the word you.
Yeah.
And I think it brought me to like a fucking porn site or something. And I was like,
Ted, what year were you born?
1998.
Okay, so like no difference at all really with all of us. Like we're all from the same kind of era.
Yeah, but when I was way younger, my family, we had this Sony cassette tape, 8mm cassette tape, sort of like the magnetic sort of thing where you recorded on there. And I used to make these videos when I was a kid, where I took these cans. One was like a little mini Sierra Mist, and the other was a Barg's root beer. and I put these sticks in the bottom of them, and I put googly eyes, and then on the Bargs root beer I put a mustache on it, and I gave them little napkin capes, and it was The Adventures of Can Man and Mr. Mist, and I would literally hold the camera, and then I would have the stick, and I would hold it in front, and I would like narrate him, and then my friend William would play Mr. Mist, and he would do it in a really high-pitched voice, so it would be like 2 characters really, and I would do that all the time when I was younger, and I found them this year on cassette tape, and I need to before I can't like wait even any more months. I need to like get those and like get a digital converter so I can get them before, because they degrade over time.
Tony's done those with some of our home videos. It's like once you get a something to play it, it's like fairly simple to just like get it on. I think,
but
unless Tony's
that's
editing,
probably
it's like it wasn't simple at all.
That's like probably the earliest reoccurring production that I did of anything. Well, actually, that's a lie. I used to do a comic book strip for 5 years in elementary school called Pie Wars.
I did a superhero comic book strip when I was in elementary school.
Yeah, it was called Pie Wars, and it was about like me and 4 of my friends, but they were like separate people, like going around and fighting with pie, and there was like an enemy that was called Evil Pie Man, and he had these robots called pie drones that shot pie. It was really
named
centered
Evil
around
Pie Man at birth because then they really set him up for his career.
He was just like,
right away.
Yeah. It's like,
he was just like
my
they were all
first name
stick
is
figures.
Evil. What the fuck?
Yeah, what's up? I'm Evil Pie Man. What's your real name? I don't know what you mean.
I love remembering that old stuff. Like, I think one of the earliest even, I guess, like training of trying to do like comedy stuff is I think I've probably mentioned this before. Gus, I definitely told you this like once or twice, but I had the PlayStation 2 iToy when I was younger.
Yeah.
And there was a I don't know if it was part of the main iToy app, but I know I had some kind of game where you could record about like 30 seconds to a minute of video, and then you could just re-watch it. And me and my friends would play this game in my basement where we had this laundry room off to the side. And so we'd split up into teams, and one team would film the funniest sketch they could in the 30 seconds to a minute while the other guys in the laundry room plugged their ears. And then we'd all come out and watch. And if you made somebody laugh, you got a point. And we would just do that like all the time.
That's so fun, dude. I love it.
It was
that
the best.
shit.
I still want to I want to do a version of that now. That sounds just like fun.
Eddie, what was your comic little thing about when you were young?
So we had a day, some kind of, I think we had like a career day. And I think to make it fun, there was like something, we were in like second grade. We had something having to do with like donut themes for it. And I remember I was just kind of bored, and I just started sketching a donut with like a superhero mask on it, because one of the cutouts they gave us like for the donuts kind of looked like a superhero mask. And so I used it to trace it, and I made a donut man superhero. And then I was like, there's something here. There's a franchise here. So I just kept writing.
I gotta pitch this.
Yeah, no, I would just write them in school to myself. I wouldn't even like really show them to many friends or anybody. I didn't even bring them home. I would just like write them in my notebook.
I love that.
Do you still have them?
Ah, dude, no. They're like, I was so disorganized in elementary school. I don't have anything.
I have this box that I keep of like certain memory stuff, and I have a bunch of my old Pie Wars comics from elementary school. But what was I gonna say? Holy crap! Here's an interesting question. I was thinking about this because it reminded me of these comic things. Because I remember I had made a comic that I thought was so funny, and I realized in hindsight it was actually really bad, because it was about this kid that was like pissed off about school, and the solution to the conflict was to blow up the school.
Oh my god!
And I was like, this is great. This is so funny. And I showed it to my dad, and he was like, yeah, don't show that to him. And I was like, what? And I was like, you just don't understand, Dad. Like, you just don't get me. This is funny. My friends will think this is funny. But going off of that, I'm curious, like, at what point did your parents start finding your jokes funny? Like, not just like your mannerisms, like, because there's like a difference between like you being ridiculous and then thinking that that's funny, and like the offshoot things that you say that aren't necessarily meant to be funny but are funny because you were, I don't know, like a ridiculous kid when you were younger or something like that. But like, I remember there was a specific shift that happened at some point where the things that I said, I could tell jokes to my dad, and him and I would he could tell jokes to me, and we're laughing together. Like, I just did a road trip with my dad, and we barely fought, and it was like I'd never really done anything like that with my dad before. But I realized how well we got along and how funny he actually found me, because he was laughing at a lot of the shit I was saying, and I'd never really, I don't know, I guess I just didn't really spend enough time with my dad to realize that was a thing now, you know? So I'm curious, like, for you guys, like, do you know when that was?
I think definitely around like 11 or 12, I remember saying some things that would make either of my parents laugh. But I think truly with me and Tony, like, especially with my mom post like our parents' divorce, I think like Tony and I will just like constantly kind of make our mom laugh now, because we just like, it's almost like a performance with just like the littlest shit. Like Tony will just ask a question, and then if you don't answer it as directly, and then you finally answer it, he's like, "That's what I was asking." Just like so big. Like, it was just, so that stuff now I think is like way more common now. But I think probably when you start hitting like 5th or 6th grade, it's kind of when you start becoming like a person for the first time. You know what I mean?
You're not exactly sure what that is. So it's like you just start saying shit.
Yeah, like my memories from 5th and 6th grade, I still think of that as like a version of me. But anytime before that, I'm like, my brain was not developed enough to like really understand what was going on.
Yeah, I think with my mom, it's kind of almost a similar thing to what you just said, where it's like she'll sometimes just say something like ridiculous that like is meant to be ridiculous, but she'll like hold in her laugh. And we've developed this thing between me and her where she'll do it and she'll be looking directly at me, and then I'll just like give a lengthy pause, and then I'll start counting down from 3 to 1, and before I even get to 2, she'll just burst out laughing, and that's just like, I guess this is like a thing between me and her now.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to say, Ted, that the whole road trip thing and like that experience and stuff, I'm so glad that you get to have that with your dad. Like,
that's so fantastic. Great. It looked like you guys were having a ton of fun with your Instagram.
Because I get along really, really well with my mom, and I know that I have a really great relationship with my mom. But I think the thing is, my dad, he works more in general. It's not like I didn't ever see my dad or anything like that. And like I have a good relationship with my dad anyways, but I'd never done anything specifically with my dad that was like a real solid memory in my childhood, I think. So I was like, okay, I'm moving out. So it's like, I should do this with my dad and show him all of the places that because I've done multiple road trips in the past across the country, and I was like, I want to experience this with my dad and have those sort of moments. And I'm really glad I did it, because it was a fucking awesome trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's like doing something like that. If you're still, for those of you listening, if you're still, in good terms with your, parents, that's always a good thing to do, especially when you get older and you sort of I feel like when there's a certain age you reach when you kind of realize the value of that, before it's like you're like old and have kids and stuff like that,
Yeah. I think it's especially
in the middle period
with those long trips too. It's like, I know Ted, you already like said your experience with them, so you know this as well, but like I feel like even the further distance you get from them, the more they kind of mean to you. Like, I am so glad when we moved out here, Gus, that we did that trip with everybody, because it's just I have all of these like very distinct different memories of what happened during it that you share with those people. It's like really, really special. I really think that everybody, this is a post-pandemic world we're talking about. Don't go on a road trip for leisure right now. But like I remember the kind of first time I'd ever really felt independent was like my senior year after I was gonna say like the summer after my senior year
in college.
No, in high school. So my friend, when I was a freshman, my friend Victor, who I think Victor listens to the podcast. What's up, buddy? What's going on?
What's up, Victor?
So, Victor, are you driving?
Victor, we're
Turn
looking
left.
at you. Where are you, Victor? Turn around.
But Victor moved when I was a freshman in high school, and he was one of my closest childhood friends. And so it was pretty sad, but Victor would come by every summer in between. And so it happened to be moving into college. He was going to do an internship, so he wasn't able to come back. And so we FaceTimed him, and it was like, I think maybe like May 29th or something. And we were just like the weekend upcoming was like just the beginning of June. And we talked to him, and we're like, yeah, it sucks that we can't see you. It'd be cool if we like just drove to New York and like stayed with you at some point, like maybe next year or something. And then we were all just kind of drinking and hanging out. I mean, sorry, we weren't drinking Kool-Aid. It was we were 18. But we were just like, what if we just fucking like went in 3 days? What if we just did it? And then like we asked Victor, and he was totally down for it too. And that road trip was like the first thing I ever did as an adult. Like I really think road trips are super, super valuable for like your memories with everything.
That's what I So I definitely do use road trips so far as like a memory making thing, like device, I guess, because my best friend Tucker, before he was going into the Marines, he was going to leave for boot camp, and I decided, senior year, summer after high school, similar thing to you, we did a road trip. We did a whole loop around the country.
God damn!
And went to like all of 3 weeks and a day.
Ooh.
But it was awesome, and we all of like, how like you get like sometimes you'll get like a little bit of cash from like various relatives. It was like, I'm pretty sure me and him we both used like all of the money that we got from relatives from graduating high school. We just like you just put that all into the road trip. So going into college, I was just completely fucking broke. But it was totally worth it. And then it's been like 4 years exactly now, and I'm actually going to see him because he's actually getting out of the Marines on the 17th of this month.
Oh shit.
So and he's up in 29 Palms, like he is at that Marine base. But so, and I another road trip I had done was after in 2017 I worked as a camp counselor, and with 3 other counselors and it was in August, we road tripped down south, and we went and we saw the eclipse.
Whoa.
That happened in 2017.
Rad. Did you stare right at it, get the best view possible?
Oh, man. I still get eye floaters to this day.
You're like, I can still see it now, for real. It's burned into my cornea.
Yeah, but I cannot stress this enough. Worth looking into the sun.
Oh,
Just kidding. But that was like one of the craziest things too. And with whoever those people you are, it's like you'll always have those memories with that person, because road trips are in the least like weird sounding way, they're a very intimate thing, to do, because you are living with that person and with pretty much nowhere to go for however long that road trip is.
Yeah, and you're like problem solving and just making decisions the whole time.
Yeah.
Kind of. That's my one post pandemic piece of advice, not only for people like directly our age, but if you're in between like 18 and 25 and you don't have kids, it's like, and just you have the
financial means to
because the thing is, road tripping, if you have a friend somewhere, road tripping can be pretty cheap, you know what I mean? Like you can that was the big thing, is doing, and Gus, we even did a lot of them together, doing like and we're still gonna after this, but affordable, just kind of like cheap fun trips are like my favorite experiences possible.
There was a big difference in the way that I did, because I stopped with my dad. I stopped at a lot of the same spots and took pretty much the same route up until maybe Montana through the country that I did with Tucker in 2016.
Also, that TikTok was in Montana, right? That fucking so much. Sorry.
The ADHD one. That was in
Tony,
Glacier National Park.
In the description.
I thought of that morning, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna pop," just because of how beautiful it is in the background. But with so with Tucker, what we did was, we couldn't really afford to. With my dad, he just was like, I don't want to camp, and that I was sort of bummed about that at first, but then I was like, also like, it's not a huge deal, it's a different trip. I don't need it to be the same thing as what I did with Tucker. So we stayed at hotels when I did it with my dad, and we could afford to, but that was different from 2016 when I just, I wasn't doing YouTube shit. I wasn't actually making money like a real job. So what we did was we used freecampsites.net, and we also did Airbnbs. which is like a totally different experience because then you'll meet the people at the Airbnbs. Like I have this Polaroid photo of me with this woman, Melanie, in Toma, Wisconsin.
Oh, you did like a private room?
Yeah, I was in Toma. And also freecampsites.net's really cool because it's like some of the locations you get for these free spots, you'll get like coordinates that you put into Google Maps.
Whoa.
And it'll take you like, I actually did a fourth road trip that was in 2018 where I drove across the country with my roommate when I was living in LA. And when we were in Arches in Moab, Arches National Park, we got this one free campsite, and it took us on this off-road for maybe 40 minutes. We were driving off-road. But what we ended up in was this canyon that was like barely touched. It was like there was no one there, and I took this awesome like time-lapse photo like at night with the stars and shit, and I had him like shine a flashlight in the tent that we had, and it was like this fucking awesome photo in this canyon that we would have never known it was there in the area. We could have just stayed at like a hotel or something in Moab, but it was like, you know, it's like those different choices that you can make can totally change the experience.
Was Moab, Gus, is that the one that we drove after? Is it like after the Grand, or like near kind of the Grand Canyon, but like
it's pretty far. I would say it's like
remember.
Maybe 5 hours from the Grand Canyon.
Wait, how many hours?
It's Utah. Moab is in Utah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like our cross country road trip though.
Oh,
there was one place. I'm pretty sure that was it. Where after
there's Antelope Canyons.
Yeah, I'm just Moab sounds familiar. Where I'm pretty sure we drove through it and we're like, oh, this would have been a cool place if we didn't go to the Grand Canyon. It was the same day, but also we drove like 12 hours a day when we drove. So it was. I'm pretty sure that was it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in Utah, and it's like it's got like a kind of.
Oh, actually, you're absolutely probably right because Moab is. And also, I guessed pretty well in saying it was 5 hours. It's 5 hours and 16-minute drive from Flagstaff to Moab. And Flagstaff is the area.
I'm pretty sure we did because I remember thinking like this would be also a cool trip. This town just seems cool. Yeah, I just remembered that. I don't know why. I always remembered that it had a weird name and that Moab is it.
Yeah, for some reason I'm thinking of that giant balloon that you had to fight that was like the blimp in Tower Defense.
Oh yeah, the Moab shredder. Yeah, you had to get Moab shredder spikes and shit.
Yeah.
You fuck with BTD5, my guy?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was one of my airplane games on tour a lot too. It's
dude, when I don't know if it was 4 or 5. Which one has the Aztec god monkey that like?
Oh, the sun god.
Yeah,
it's in 5. I don't know.
That's in 5.
Just remember playing on my old iPod, and it would like get to a point where the game is just not like 1 frame a second, where it's just so broken because you're doing so well. I love that shit.
I like that. I've played that game now, like on like good not school library PCs or on like a brand new cell phone, and invariably you will get to the point where no matter how good your device is, the game just goes.
I think that's just an optimization. It's got to be an optimization thing with the game itself. It's just like people will get bored at some point. They won't get to this point where the memory for the phone is being completely used.
Yeah, for people that don't understand, we're saying that there are too many monkeys and too many balloons on the screen.
Too many
the game crashes.
Too many balloon dissolving god lasers being thrown around at once.
Oh, you're wealthy? How many banana factories you got? Let me hear that.
Exactly. Oh, you haven't moved them to crates yet? Oh. Yeah, I guess I was doing a little bitch here. So.
Guess we got a rookie monkey on our hands.
I'm sorry, your glue soaker does not have dissolve? Wow, it's like you don't even care.
It's like what? So you're just trying to slow them down, but you don't want them to pop? Like, what are you doing?
It's like you can't watch your cake and you can't even eat it too? Dumbass. Sorry about that.
Get the hell out of here.
Glue. Can you imagine stepping in toxic glue? That'd be terrible. I had a dream last night about I was on a different planet, and I was a dragonfly landed on me, and it was an all black dragonfly. It was
matte black.
Like it was
fresh out of the shop.
I was like, I remember thinking to myself in this dream, I was like, this is really uncomfortable seeing a dragonfly on a completely different planet because I know this shouldn't be here. But then I tried to get rid of it, and it was hanging on to me and stuff. And then eventually it stung me, and I went to like some sort of infirmary or something, and in this dream, and I'm surprised I even remember this because I woke up like a while ago, so I thought this dream would be gone by now. But and they told me that I had 3 months to live.
Oh yeah.
And I was, and I remember being really, really stressed, and like, but then I woke up, and then I was thinking to myself, how fucking ridiculous is it that we believe this shit when we're dreaming?
Oh yeah, you buy it instantly. You're in the world. You accept all the realities of that world.
It's like the same thing as like hypnotism, of that like suggestion thing, except that your brain suggesting that shit to yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's still like like more in adulthood. You know, you'd always hear about like sometimes I'll have a dream where somebody like does something awful to me that I know, and then I'll wake up and have to be like, wait, no, don't be mad at them. They didn't.
Yeah.
And, like, dude, I think
that'd honestly be worse, because like there's probably, I think, top 10 feelings in the world is the feeling of, like, good feelings in the world is the feeling of waking up after a dream where the circumstances were not in your favor. Yeah. And you're realizing, I don't live in this that reality I don't know if I
mentioned it to Gus. I didn't mention it to you, Ted. I had a very, very like detailed long as in it felt very long dream about a month ago where like Tony just died. And then it was like the rest of the dream was like living life and like seeing my family. And I woke up, and for like the
that,
first
like a Rick and Morty
10 seconds, you're like, wait, is this, and then you're like, no, of course not.
That must have been really disorienting.
Dude, it fucked up my entire next day. And it's like, and then I probably fucking mentioned it to Tony, and he's just like, sucks, loser, like some shit like that. But yeah, I don't know. That shit sucks, man. It'll really fuck you up. But at least that feeling of like, oh, it's not real is so good, because it's like being in the worst case scenario of your life, and then it just like flips a switch and you're back to normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm like, thank God I didn't get poisoned by a matte black dragonfly on another planet.
Or by
Thank God.
Yeah,
it seems really close there.
For Matt Pat. Matt Pat bit me once, and then they told me I had 3 months to live.
Yeah, and I remember because this venom just soaked through. I remember sitting down with him in arbitration as the police officer was going over the incident report, and I said, so he came in the room, and Matt Pat just like rolled up my sleeve and like unbuttoned the collar of my shirt and bit me on my arm and neck, and he said, hold on, that's just a theory. And then the cop didn't write it down because he's a subscriber, I guess. So that fucking sucked.
Matt Pat burst into my apartment and started telling me that like Bowser is secretly the hero of the story, and I was like, dude, get out of my fucking apartment. And then he bit me, and I have 3 months to live. So,
dude, that's crazy. Matt Pat burst into my room the other day and started shoving Advil down my throat so I get stomach ulcers.
Oh my God!
It wasn't even gaming related. It was just completely out of pocket.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad that we're having this conversation, because everybody, like every single significant YouTuber that I've talked to, has at least 1 or 3 stories of Matt Pat, and like with a various biting related incident. So.
I've heard him shoving ibuprofen down people's throats, Tylenol, and it's just like, we really need to stop this guy.
Does he not think that we talk to each other?
I don't know.
He says he's like, don't tell any other YouTubers. And I said, every other YouTuber's already told me that you bit them, Matt. And he goes, heh 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 heh, and lifts up my windowsill and leaves.
Like a really winded,
and that's
like,
crazy because you're so high up. It's like,
I know, we're like stories up, and my windows are the kind that you have to crank open. I don't know how he's getting out and how he's landing.
How is he getting in is the question. Is he coming in through the window?
I've had
the door open since May. He's probably got those suction cups that guy did who climbed the building. You know, the suction cup guy.
He scales the building. Yeah,
he does a fucking Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol to get to Gus's window to shove Advil down his throat.
He has like a rocket launcher powered grappling hook from like a fucking steampunk 1800s game that he shoots into my window and repels up into my room.
That's definitely the most frustrating thing about grappling hooks as a concept. They are so cool, but so unrealistic in terms of their function.
Yeah. Like what? Okay, and if it's a handheld device,
so badly that they were a thing.
First of all, how are you going to get the torque to be able to repel up anything in something that's the size of a gun like that? The motor's just not going to be strong
It's going to rip out of your hand and fly through a window.
It's going to have like a nuclear powering device or something. If it had like a really, really strong battery in it, but then the battery would have to be large. And it would it would be heavy too, and that would also act against its ability for torque.
Yeah.
What's Matt Pat gonna use now?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He'll use the Well, we talked about the
He's
suction
the sticky
cup shit.
hands.
Sticky hands. Yeah, like the sticky hand cleaner shit. Yeah, like the, you
No,
get your
like I
dog's
mean the
hair
sticky
off
hand you get for like a quarter.
like the gooey things.
Like the ones that you can
stick it
get
at the top of the building and it just fucking tugs you up to the top.
The ones that like every single guy in got when we were at Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, dude.
Those are really fucking rad for about 28 seconds.
And then
They
you
were.
like stain
I'm
your
telling
wall.
you, dude.
Yep, and
Since
lose the
that
stain.
night, they used them for like the rest of the trip.
Wow.
Like Charlie was just like whipping them at Schlatt like every day. It was.
You know what I love?
It
You guys
became like
ever
a issue.
Get those quarter like just same machines for it, but they're the little ninjas.
Oh, wait, no.
They're little ninja toys.
Oh, like in the little plastic ball thing?
Yeah.
I never got those.
I'd have to.
they're
I'd have
cool,
to
man.
see a photo of something like this.
Is
this always something you get in like one of the put the quarter in and turn the dial?
Yeah. What would I even search for that? Quarter ninja?
Quarter ninja, bad quality.
plastic
Back corner
bubble.
bowling
Yeah,
alley.
dude, I searched quarter ninja toy and it came up. Okay, hold on. I gotta save this photo of it. Wait, no, I'm not looking on Amazon. Okay, I'll go to images and then I'll send it in the Discord and Tony can put them up.
Oh, here's one thing that you guys probably may have never experienced, but it's a very, very specifically New England, maybe even specifically Massachusetts thing. Have you guys ever done candle pin bowling before?
Candle pin, like CANDLE?
Okay. So
Also, I just sent it in the
I'm
chat.
going to walk away for 1 second just so I can show this to the camera.
Okay, cool. Also, Eddie, those look fucking rad. I would certainly want to
For the
collect those if I was
listeners,
a kid.
Yeah, they're fucking
showing this candle pin because I have one from my sister was doing a project in elementary school and she managed to get apparently these bowling alleys they have just leftover bowling pins, but this is a candle pin bowling pin and it's a different shape. It's like sort of straight up. Just to describe it to you two guys, but it's basically a New England specific bowling style where the balls are like small. They're about the size of maybe
Like
one
a
and a half
bocce
times
ball?
the size. 1.5 times the size of like a softball.
Okay.
So kind of like
And-
the... What the fuck is that arcade game? Anyway, I'm aware of the size of the ball. I shouldn't
Talking
get
about
hung up.
skee
Yeah.
ball?
Skee ball,
I think it's bigger,
my
I think it's
man.
bigger
No,
than
it's,
skee
it's,
balls.
it's like 3 to 4 times as big as a skee ball.
Three
Yeah,
skis?
yeah.
Gotcha.
But like, a third of the size of a normal bowling ball. So, and you can just like whip them down the lane, and it's super fucking fun. So if PAX East becomes a thing this coming year or something, or
Yeah.
if it ends up happening,
Yeah,
and you
dude.
guys go to PAX East, I gotta take you guys to my hometown, and we gotta go
Candle
candle
bowling,
pin
baby.
bowling.
Let's do
Yes,
it.
and also whatever year or whenever things are like kind of normal again, dude, I'm traveling. So you guys are getting maybe one YouTube video out of me the entire year, bro. I am.
That's
just
something that you and I are very
across the
similar
whole country.
about, Eddie. You and I are somewhat similar in that we like generally, when we're operating well, where it's like one a month.
Yeah, that's occasionally I'll put like 2 out, but I actually, dude, I got a new one I'm working on, and it should be out kind of soon. So I'm kind of productive and fine.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
But it's already been I think 3 weeks since I uploaded, maybe a month. So.
Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks since I uploaded.
But I also we stream and we have podcasts.
Yeah,
and
how
so
are
we're
you
still
guys
working.
liking? How are you guys liking streaming? Because it's like
Dude,
this is a
I
very
fucking
new
love it.
thing for you guys.
Love it, dude. I love even the casual shit now. Like sometimes I'll just like be in an
Just
afternoon. I'll be
literally-
like, I want to play blackjack for 3 hours. Just like
Well,
dumb shit. So I love
You
that.
honestly could just do just chatting too. That's what I do sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if you guys
occasionally
have
do
stopped
it.
in on my streams where it's like I'll just chat with the chat and we'll just talk.
What I still love, and I think and so apologies, Ted, if there's times where I'm cutting you off during this because my Discord with this laptop is real fucky.
Oh,
so sometimes
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I feel like I interrupt all the time.
No, you're all right. You were definitely talking there. Like I heard it come in as I started to speak. But
Eddie, I love
wait, what's up?
I said, Eddie, I love you.
But
Let's nip that in
the like what I still think I get from my like YouTube videos is with streaming, I still only want to show up when I have like like I threw
Something
the Halo
planned.
stream and everybody's on, or like I've got
Sure.
this Fall Guys board game. Like for me, I still want to like show up where people are like, oh shit, we got to get in there. Eddie's streaming.
Sure.
You know what
I mean, that's a good way to go about it, though, because then it's like that's kind of similar to, well, not actually similar at all, but it is have that sort of the infrequency of the streams and sort of quality over quantity. Because in general, Twitch is more of a quantity over quality platform, but Austin's show he has like a show he does.
That's the thing
like
is with seeing well, because is the official name of the show Love or Host, or is it the Austin show now?
It's by Austin show, but the show is called Love or Host. It used to be called The Rajular.
Right,
and
yeah,
he used to go by Raj, but now it's called, and I thought that was really cool how he sort of took,
Yeah, that's actually, I would see, before I started streaming, like Twitch clips, whether it was from his show or like Sushi Dragon putting on some stuff, and I'd be like, wow,
Sushi Dragon,
I want to do something where I come and I'm like, here, guys, you can tell I've been working on this stream all day. Like, here we go. And also, looking to throw another Fall Guys board game this
Sushi
week.
Dragon is like a cyborg. That man is like a cyborg.
Yeah,
the
dude.
way that he.
Oh my god, yeah.
If you guys don't know what Sushi Dragon is, he's like this. It's sort of like a live performance.
Dude, it is it just is a live performance.
And he's
fucking
like,
amazing.
He looks like some sort of 80s advertisement for the Power Glove, where it's like he's got all of these different dials and shit on his arms and shit in his hands, and there's so many buttons that he can press to have a different thing happen on stream.
Mm-hmm. It's like he actually, it's like every button is like a person playing an instrument, and he's like the conductor of an orchestra. It's that well done.
That's a very good point.
It's so good.
Or Matilda in that one scene.
Yeah, or Matilda in that one scene.
I would love Matilda to be on Twitch. Mara Wilson, and she just reads the script for Matilda the film and the book every time she streams. I would
like to see Matilda in that one scene versus Matt Pat in a fight.
Versus Matt Pat.
And then does that thing where he makes where she makes Matt Pat fly out the window.
Yeah.
Not sure whether or not they survive.
She makes him eat an entire chocolate cake while he weeps in front of his graduating class and then kicks him out the window.
That scene is literally like, I will see a giant chocolate cake and I will always think of that scene. I'll just be like, yeah, no.
The imagery was there. Like, even though, like, as a kid, I was never like, I wanted all that cake. But when they talk about, like, was it like Mrs. Trunchbull or whatever, the lady? And she, like,
I think
used
you
that
literally
knife.
nailed it.
Mrs. Lunchable.
Ms. Lunchable, Ms. Pizza Lunchable takes that knife and she cuts that little slice out, and it's just like this, like German chocolate, too? They say thick German chocolate cake, and you're just like,
yeah, that's a really good example of, like, very strong imagery.
Yeah,
I believe her full name is Mrs. Non-Microwaved Cold Pizza Lunchable.
Close open parentheses.
Why are you doing
the
this
one
to us,
without
Eddie?
a Capri Sun. Close parentheses.
And I guess, guys, you know that saying that. Well, that's it. Gosh, I really flubbed that one. Do you think Tony can fix that and add it?
Do you think he could like auto tune it? Do you think, or like maybe like deep fakes?
Why do you always ask him to do shit that is so elaborate every time?
Ever since we got T-Pain on, I just feel like it's a desperate scramble to keep upping ourselves, and I can't do it. So you clearly can't do it either. And Tony's kind of our last hope to really kind of.
Hey guys, what are you talking about?
What's that?
I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't know Ted was still here.
Is Ted still on?
Ted, you still on?
Ted?
Hey.
Hi. Oh.
Hi, nice to
Hey, Ted. What? How did you?